Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday Wobble. It's great to have you with us and great to see so many people online. If you're there, please give us a comment. Let us know where you are and what you're up to today. It would be great to say hello. This morning or this afternoon. It's this afternoon. If you're watching us live, it's this afternoon. If you're watching us back, it's probably this evening. And if you're watching us and it's the morning, well, then you missed it completely on the Wednesday. We're going to be thinking about some news. Wednesday Wobble is all about the news. It's about the local paper, the wonderful and gifted as ever Sligo champion. Deborah, it's lovely to have you. And Ivy, little Ivy, cutest child alive, watching in as well. It's good to have you with us. So we're going to be thinking about some news. And the reason that we call it Wednesday Wobble is because Wobble is sort of a kind of a family tradition thing in my wife's family, where on a Sunday afternoon, they would have sat at her nan's house and talked Wobble, talked about all the news of the week, maybe what was going on in the newspapers or what was going on the news on the television, or just what was going on in the chat in the local area amongst all of the neighbours. So it's great to have you with us, and we're so glad that you're there. And I hope. I see that, Herm, hopefully the weather is good in Herm. I see there's some chocolate tasting things going on in Herm Island. You'll find it all on Facebook. Lovely to have you, and shameless publicity. So the old paper this week, and dear bless our journalists, in a time when there's not an awful lot of news other than COVID, and we do try to avoid a little bit of that in Wobble, there hasn't been a huge amount of wonderful news in the paper this week. It was quite a negative week, in a week where people are already struggling, I know, wherever you are, with all of the new announcements around what's going to happen for the next few weeks and everything else. Hannah, it's great to have you with us, and I'm glad that you're getting a break from the Zoom calls and the phone calls and the admin. Oh, I hate admin. It's not been a good admin day today, I have to say. Amy, if you're out there, you know that as well. And so anyway, I was having a look at a local paper, and not a mad amount of wonderfully happy news. So that's when doing something that's topical and you get the paper the day before becomes a little bit of a struggle. But then I looked at the let's see, you got it right there. Hopefully you can see it at home. The page. And this was tap water is yellow from a 10 million euro plant. If you are watching us from Sligo, I think there's a couple of you out there. You will know that rural Sligo water has been a big issue for many, many years. And even where we live, we often had brown and yellow water and all sorts of things, which always seem to either coincide with a big flood on the mountain, which seemed to flood out the waterworks, or around holiday time, funnily, when people will be off and busy elsewhere, and maybe there wasn't always the care that was needed to keep it all nice and clean. So anyway, I started to read this article, and this lake in South Sligo that they've been waiting for ages. Sarah, it's great to have you with us, all the way up there in Galgorm. We hope it is good, and bless you for all that you do in the pharmacy as well there, and looking after people in that part of the world, and Shauna's aunt included, I think. And anyway, back to my story. So the tap water has gone yellow after spending 10 million quid or euro fixing up the whole thing, and people are very distressed. But according to Irish Water, which is good news, that it is, if you follow on to page 8, where you can have an entire page of the misery, they have said the following: Irish Water wishes to advise that due to the upgrade of the disinfection process and the lower use of chlorine, in other words, less domestos, in the new treatment process, some slight increase in colour is being experienced. I'm sure it is not some slight increase in color if it's coming out of your tap, but nonetheless. And I got thinking about water, and in the Bible there's all sorts of water related things, but because this week past there was a wedding in the parish, it got me thinking around weddings. Hi Alison, it's good that you're with us, and I hope you are having a good day down the road there. And so because there was a wedding this week past, it started me thinking around all of that, and what does the dirty water plant have to do with weddings? And it reminded me of a passage in John chapter 2, And depending on what tradition you get married in, often this is alluded to at the beginning of the service, where it's read and the story of the wedding feast at Cana is told. It's Jesus' first miracle. And in John chapter 2, there's two very interesting things that I think are helpful to us in the midst of the world that we find ourselves in, and particularly as many people are getting married in more difficult and smaller and not the usual way of doing things. This wedding had been going on for 3 days, so it was obviously an Irish wedding, and it had they drank the place dry. All of the wine had been used up, and this was going to be a massive, massive shame for the people who were hosting the wedding. And Mary, Jesus' mother, is there with him. And this is where we know that Jesus is not Irish, because he would never speak to his mother like this. He says, "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My hour has not yet come." He was a bit cross with his mum. We don't know. I always have this notion of, does she give him a clip round the ear or reach for the wooden spoon? But he says this, "My hour has not come." It wasn't his time. But even though his mum may have been peeved about what has just been said, in verse 5 in chapter 2, she says this: "His mother said to the servants, 'Do whatever he tells you.'" Do whatever he tells you. And for those of you who know the story well, what happens next is that there are jars of water brought that were really for washing more than for anything else. And Jesus turns those jars into wine. Not just average $6.99 wine, but the best wine, and he blesses it. And when people start to drink it, they went, "Well, normally we drink the rubbish wine at the end and the good stuff at the beginning. But actually, here we are drinking the good stuff right at the end. This is such good wine." And I thought it was really helpful, because even though our poor friends in the water company have spent 10 million quid, they still haven't got the quality quite right. Mandy, it's good to have you with us there in Fermanagh. Great to have you along. So our poor friends may not have got the water right, even 10 million quid later. But actually, Jesus got this wine just perfect, because he brought quality to what he was doing. He responded to the need amongst people that he saw. Even though it wasn't his time, even though he'd had a bit of a row with his mother, he did what needed to be done, because he blessed those that he was in fellowship with. I don't know about you, but these days, as things are not always as they seem, whether you are in Ireland or in the UK with us today, there's been lots of new announcements from the various leaders, and things are not as we'd like them to be. And we're looking forward into quite a difficult period of longer restrictions and all of that. I think in Wales, the kids are back this week, Hannah, I think. And actually in Ireland, the Republic, our kids are back the beginning of this week coming, which is something for us to celebrate a lot about. But in the midst of all of that turmoil, and where it looks like the greatest disaster, like the wine running out at this particular wedding, and it could be a time where things were so difficult and so shameful, Jesus blessed those times. And he's with us in the midst of all that is going on this week. And I want to encourage you that wherever you find yourself, and in whatever bits of mess you might find yourself in this week, where you're thinking, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to be stuck at home. I'm going to be stuck with the kids. How am I going to do 2 more weeks till the big ones go back? And I've got to get the little ones to school," and all of those things that are in all of our minds. And in fact, maybe Mandy's going back to cook for someone. All of those things are going on. Hannah, I see your 3 to 7-year-olds are back this week. So there we go. Wales is starting to open as well. In the midst of all of that, the Jesus who turned the water into wine, the Jesus who is in fellowship with those people, is in fellowship with us today. And he wants to bless us with quality. I know it doesn't feel it, but in this Lent season, let's turn to him and ask him to bless all that is going on in our day and in our time. It's been great to wobble with you and to have you along. Great for those who said hello. So hi, Deborah, and hi, Alison again, and hi, Mandy, and hi, Hannah. And it's so good to have you along with us. And we're a little bit jealous, Deborah, of your good sunny weather in Herm. We've kind of got in-between weather. In-between weather will do. in between weather will do at the moment. And I want to say to you, turn to Jesus and remember that he does want to bless us, and he wants us to be together. I know we can't at this time, but when you look at the wedding in Cana, we will come to those days again when we will gather and when we will be blessed by him in fellowship together. Bless you all wherever you are today. And I hope that you have a really, really good day, whatever you spend the rest of your time doing. Bless you.